I talk with a lot of people about how they're booking business on LinkedIn, specifically using Sales Navigator and other tools. It always kind of blows my mind when they're using Sales Navigator, but they're not doing this. There's a lot of ways to use Sales Navigator, a lot of different ways to filter, use Boolean searches, and creative ways to kind of get in front of your target audience. But I always get really excited when I can show people this one tip, and I'm surprised that they're not doing it. So I'm going to dive right into the meat and bones like I tend to do, and I'll share my screen and talk to you all about this one tip. And if you're not doing it, the good news is you can start today, and it's highly, highly effective in your outreach. So as you can see my screen here now, I'm on Sales Navigator and under the lead bracket. This one tip is, without further ado, the past company filter. The past company filter, I mean, all the filters on LinkedIn here, you want to think about how you can use these effectively, obviously, to kind of pattern break and get to your target audience. And the more you pattern break and think of it creatively, you essentially will get more targeted in your approach. If you just kind of come on here and throw in your filters, it's like, okay, I'm looking for this, and I'm in retail, I need a company headcount of 11 to 51, et cetera, right? And you kind of throw in just some of these filters, and it's kind of like almost like what everyone's doing is how you want to think about it. So, back to how we use the past company filter. So once I realized, okay, I work for this company, I'm starting out, I'm brand new, and I'm learning a ton, like, where have we won? Where are our social proofs, our case studies? Where's our footprint? And then how can I leverage Sales Navigator? So the past company feature has been huge for me. I'll explain. So you're working for a company and they've done enterprise level business, and let's say they've had a lot of wins or a couple wins with Microsoft. So I would come into the past company, I would include Microsoft, right? And the goal here is to get more targeted, is to figure out how you can create a message. The more targeted you are, the more relevant your messaging is that actually punches weight. So your past company, you're already talking to people that have previously worked at Microsoft, of course, where you've done business. So let's say you've helped Microsoft reduce onboarding costs, right? So now you're like, okay, great. These people are all working somewhere else, but they've previously worked at Microsoft. Great. Now you can continue to filter from there. So just that one small tidbit of, figuring out how your social proof can resonate the best is, of course, talking to an audience where you previously have worked, where they've previously worked at that firm. If you think about it just in your own shoes, if somebody reached out to you and said, hey, hey, Mike, I saw you were at, Microsoft. We helped them reduce onboarding costs. And the way we did that is X, Y, and Z. Are you open to connect next week? How's Thursday look? There's, generally going to be a high. And this led to a lot quicker downstream activity as well. So not only with booking the meeting, but then just downstream, like we were, I took that message, I set it as the agenda, and it was, much warmer lead this way, much more qualified lead. After you do the past company, other tips, right, is you want to think about, okay, now you're reaching out to people that previously worked at Microsoft. Now, who do you target, right? Like how did the business win at Microsoft? Who did they target? Who are you targeting now? Like, what are the firmographic details? And you want to fill those out. So if it's, maybe you need to talk to the vice president level. Great. You can kind of talk about the function, right? Maybe it's business development. Well, in this case, it would be like, maybe it would be like operations, right? Because we're kind of going after onboarding costs, right? You can maybe put like human resources, something like this, right? Now you kind of have your list of 7 people, right? It's a pretty small list, and maybe you want to back out human resources or operations. Yeah, I guess it just, there's only so many VPs at Microsoft, right? So pretty small list here, but it's great. You can now do your outreach much more effectively and reach out to John, Ron, Boris, Brad, a lot of similar names, like a lot of rhyming names here, and essentially say what I mentioned. It's like, hey, John, and get right to it. We've worked with Microsoft in the past. We helped them with onboarding costs, and the way we did that is X, Y, and Z. Open to connect next Wednesday at 10 a.m. EST. Question mark. The first thing I do is send a connection request to all of these people. So, all 7 of them, I would send a connection request. I would not include a note. I would send it. And the reason why I don't is because I haven't seen a big difference in, you can pitch out the door, but I would just send connection requests. Again, the etiquette on LinkedIn is to accept the connection request even without notes. I think it actually looks less salesy without the note. See who accepts. And let's say you go 7 for 7 or 5 for 7 accept, then you know that you can hone in on those 5 people that use LinkedIn. And then I would hit them with a message, um, like I mentioned. And it's just been a bulletproof strategy for me in using Navigator effectively. Of course, if you had a bigger list here, I would do things like post it on LinkedIn, right? But if you do that here, you're only going to get John. So John's probably the hottest lead, potentially, but not everyone posts on LinkedIn. They can be just speculating, like most of us. And then, of course, you can fill out the fields here accordingly and kind of get even more filtered, right? Just for fun. Let's say we needed to go after operations and human resources and not specifically titles. We just need to get a meeting there, right? Well, now you have 36,000. So you might want to go at least at the, let's say at least the experienced manager level. All right. So now you get 1,000 people. Right, so now you have a pretty good list here of 1,000 people that have previously worked at Microsoft that you could talk to, that they're now at a new company and you can do new business with. So, yeah, this has been an awesome strategy. Please use it. Let me know what you think. And I hope it's super helpful. I know it's helped me a ton. So thanks a lot for listening.